This is day 294 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. I'd like to sponsor upcoming Shir of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi or more. Please contact me directly. Be greatly appreciated. Today we're doing Siman Reish Daled still. Sif Zayin through Sif Chabez. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so we said last night that we'd have to tune in again today that to resolve the issue of wine dilution. Tez Zayin. L'chein really b'emes ma'aril b'rabin Rama including chadash b'zeh. Again, but the new halacha. So negdakik, because if we infer hello b'chol hashas who did the ayin tzarich lios kapanim chayik reviyim ayin. That in all of shas the wine has to be 1/4 of the mixture with water. I feel bad. Even the strongest wines, if it's less than that, it is category of water. This we hold that up to 1/6 can be 1/6 the dilution is a wine which is also it's yain nesa. How could this be? This is just water. The tam kikar do raisa. Maybe you'll say the tam kikar is the raisa, but if that's the case, in kin nesa or chishim, it should have the 60. So this is the way to analyze it. The mahusayayin manikra yain, the substance of wine. What is called wine? Ain't that halacha? Ain't al zeh mashmisina. That's not halacha mashmisina. El kol lefi minhag everything is according to the custom of the country. It's like it's nimsar l'chachamim, but this one's nimsar to the hamoinam. The people in the country call this is wine. Have a yain, it's wine. Says at least some taste of wine. It's not the shas they took the position. Anything which is less than a quarter wine is not wine. But there are places that up to 6, up to 1/6 is considered to be wine. That's why it does the yain nesach to the last possible extent it could still be called wine. That's my real said the shasli inche b'mukom yain. People drink this instead of wine. It's like a wine product we have nowadays. That's a shir's wine. And a person who says this, person, place even who has this, which has this custom, place has custom obviously, but even a yachid, is not a visual shnam or batla daita. It's called him. We should say that he is crazy. But it's the dilution is greater than that. Nowhere are they going to hold this wine. So even if the individual holds that this is wine, but he is considered to be out of his mind. This is what the Ramah is saying. But here in the bracket says, here we have a good malim on our wine, made out of raisin shane or yain, which is not proper wine. For a tamanu bezeb siman reish beis siman siv tezvav ayin sham. Now krimash kasav no asi shabe betuv tam. Oh, now we have another reason to consider it wine. There came the Kol Medina Tofes Zeli Yain. Since that entire country that's called wine, Shapir Have Yain. It is considered to be wine. That's for the Kiddush Bar Priya Gofen. It is sufficient. Back in 1986, right after Moshe was nifter, it was a big scandal when it turned out that all the vinegar being used in mustard, French's mustard, I believe at the time, and many other mustards had come from was wine vinegar. And a big issue arose because the dilution of the vinegar in the mustard was less than 1/6. So if you hold that yain nesach has to be a 1/6, so then it wasn't have a share of 6. On the other hand, maybe the chometz is different because maybe the chometz has a different halacha than the yain nesach from which it comes. And it was signed to the world how missing Reb Moshe was because there was nobody to pass in the Shiloh. Nobody came to a clear-cut decision, definitive decision, on what the status of the mustard was. Yeah. Okay, Yud Zayin. Kasu Rabbi Seinu V'Alei Shulchan Aruch B'Siv Vav. Temet Shosim Mechartzonim Shenosim Elei Mayim. This temet, which is I keep on wanting to translate as meat, but I don't think that's the right translation. But let's go with it anyway. Which you make from pits. Shosim Elei Mayim upon which you put water when you soak them. Dinu Kishmarim, they're like dregs. That's if the pits were what's the word? Put under pressure under a beam. But if they were only put under pressure, they're only crushed by foot. They're only trampled on. Even you put in 3 measures of water. Doesn't judge me those. That's a bit clearer. That's a bit clearer. Avaloni juhu ela beregel. If they're not, I guess if they are put under pressure under a beam, they're not considered to be. They are not considered to be true wine. But if they're put under pressure by a foot, I feel nothing shalosh midos mayim, lo matzah ela shalosh o pachos. You put in 3 measures of water, and you found exactly 3 measures afterwards, or even less. Some got absorbed. You make a bari agafen sheyainu because it's wine. The water gets swallowed up by the skins, presumably the pits as well. And which comes out, there's a lot of wine. Is that I would say that I'm not sure why a beam is less good. I was thinking a beam is better because it creates more pressure and more substance comes out. But he says no, with a beam it looks like dregs, and you need the ratio 1:4. And with the pressed by foot, I see what's saying. Okay, got it. I got it. If originally they were pressed by beams, so then most of the wine has gone out, right? Originally the grapes were pressed by beams, most of the wine has gone out, and in the chaitzonim and zagim, the skins and pits, there's almost nothing left. So therefore, as lach of dregs, you need to have a proper proportion, 1:4. But if it was pressed by foot, so a lot of wine is left, a lot of grape juice, potential wine is left in the skins and in the pits, and therefore you don't even need the proportion. Even you put in 3 and get out 3, or even less than 3, we say there's sufficient wine in that water that it really is considered to have the parameter of wine. Okay, as he says, because the water gets absorbed in the skins. And that which comes out is a lot of wine. It's interesting. If you have grape skins, they put figs on them to strengthen the power of the wine. In the skins, the majority, nevertheless, the figs are full blown power in the drink. Even if it's not clear, I guess in the last case of the Ta'anim. She's still a suffix. No matter why I not say burning flushes, because it's either figs or grapes, right? If it's best to make drink also definite wine. And also drink figs. So it's a thing which you've seen more from the Moshe Bura before, not from Arukh HaShulchan, but he says you gotta do both. The Shema may attain ikar, maybe the fig water is primary, the Shema may kosam, and maybe the fig water is like the figs. But the burning flesh is valley part. The burning flesh definitely doesn't apply. After him elu dinam kamayin, because even the status like water, came gami but to come in mashkim. Since you also drink wine, so it exempts everything. So it definitely is not. Definitely don't need to say burning flesh because the al geffen is going to cover it, even if it has the status of water. Okay, a lot of catch up here on Mishnah Berurahs. Bir halacha brings down Tashbetz, who wants to say that this halacha that we can assume there's a lot of wine left in the pits and skins. It's only by skins and pits of grapes, but pits of raisins, the Mishnah Berurah says it has to have the taste of wine and the fragrance of wine. Sharatzion writes that if there was more than 6 times the portion, in other words, it was less than 1/6, then what it was 6 times as much as the chartzonim, which I think means 5 parts to 1 part. So everybody holds it doesn't have the shem yain. Doesn't sound that way from the Arukh HaShulchan. It sounds like the Arukh HaShulchan that it does have a shem yain. The Bir Halacha says that in a case where you have mixed together those figs and the grapes, you certainly don't make a kiddush on it. In terms of Havdalah, if it's going to be Chemer Medina, then it's a form of intoxicating beverage, and then you can make Havdalah on it. But then we went to the question, what is the bracha you're going to make on it? So I don't think you gain anything out of that leniency in practice. Okay. Somebody drinks water because they are thirsty. For a shakol, it makes the shakol achar by nefashos. I mean, I don't tell you you don't want to drink. You're drinking for another reason. Such as that something you swallowed is choking you. You drink the water to push down the meat or whatever is blocking you with your esophagus. Mara, or to give some, mitigate the taste of some bitter medicine or malucha or a salty thing, etc. Answer bracha l'fanav b'achrav. You don't need to require bracha either before or after the drinking. Ain shum tam, because the water has no taste for him. You made it if you're not thirsty. The palate doesn't enjoy it. But other types of beverages used even in this manner require bracha before and after. Anything which the person eats or drinks for a medicine, the palate enjoys it. So you need a bracha both the beginning and the end. Because it has a good taste. It's a classic halacha for medicine which applies precisely nowadays. Doesn't have a good taste. Answer bracha kibamai doesn't require bracha just like water. Those are big brain and flushes. These bar b'simin and rage zayin b'siyat ishmael. Those brain and flushes will be clarified later on. The Mishnah Berurah writes that you don't have to be literally thirsty, but generically, b'stam, when you drink water and there aren't these other ulterior motives, so that's considered to be that the palate enjoys the water, and because probably some are thirsty, and you have to make a bracha. It's interesting, the person's on a diet where they drink a lot of water, you have to make a bracha in that case, and I would say yes, like the Mishnah Berurah said, unless it's mamish shesiya gasa, that he can't, it's not, he can't enjoy it at all. He's just drinking in order to bloat himself. The Bir Halacha says that if a person drinks water in order to push the food down his esophagus, because sometimes it stands in the middle and it seems like it's pounding him opposite his heart. Also, he's included in no bracha because he's not just drinking for his pleasure. But Halacha writes that which we say chankete umtza, that the piece of meat is choking him, is lav dafka. But anytime it's not for his thirst, he does make a bracha. The Halacha says that it sounds to the person that if you drink water in order to settle the food in your stomach, that's called drinking water for your thirst. And even though we say that within the Suda, you shouldn't make a bracha on water that you're drinking, the nafkamina is after where you're drinking after birkas hamazon in order to soak it. Of course, for us who don't wash by every meal, it also would make a difference. Sharatzion writes that even if the medicine doesn't taste so good, but doesn't taste bad, also make a bracha on it, which I think the minig is, in that case, we usually swallow it and not chew it, and therefore we don't actually make a bracha on it. Your test. If they compelled you to eat or drink, if your palate enjoys it, Ain't Baruch Lev don't make a bracha of, and then as a kach, it's compelled to do so. Ad kan l'shana. Ben b'zeh the person receive test achal ma'achal mashkeh shel isim ne'er sakana. Eat something which is forbidden because of the sakana. The Baruch Lev tchil b'sod make a bracha at beginning and ad kan l'shana. The Tumah Mefarsh Shulchan Aruch Ben Ramah. The poskim are the achronim are astonished. Hakshol davar isim ne'er sakana gan keinu anus. When you eat something which is forbidden because of but you're in danger, you also consider an anus, and nevertheless make a bracha on it. If that's the case, if somebody compels you to eat, you should always be chayav to make a bracha. What does it make you if your friend compels you or Hashem compels you? The Dachudvar, they rejected the Ramah on that account. There's the Tazmud above. Says Shon v'kvar kosam l'simen kup tzayvad the divrei Rabbeinu Ramah tzodkim. Definitely the Ramah is correct. The awesome by the Dover Isser HaTorah tzipsa lov le'echol Torah command him to eat v'arei v'havi mamash keten. It's literally like it's permissible. Therefore, according to the opinion of the Rambam, that when you eat something forbidden, you should make a bracha. It's a place where there's danger, there's no prohibition. As opposed to when they compel to eat, there's no obligation, nor any, nor certainly option. Ain't no road to he doesn't want to eat. And ain't no so he has no pleasure in this. If he derive pleasure, he would eat on his own volition. Because no, there was not considered to be a pleasure, but ain't so varch. They don't make a bracha. This is the ikar halacha. It's not comparable to a place where they compel you to eat matzah, and you don't say the mitzvah of matzah. It doesn't have a mitzvah because there it has to do with doing. You did do the mitzvah about the matzah. There's a bracket cheni radas el rabbis if cutting the gimel. But him in the sasi b'chalov ba'arayos. I mean, who's eats chaylev and or has relations with arayos is not paying attention. He is chayev for the prohibition because shekei nana the nana mirat soina because there he doesn't know it's also but he wants to have the pleasure. No, but here where so we have pleasure because you're compelled. That's not considered to be a pleasure. Mishabur writes, certainly if you ate something mutter when it's the time of Isser, like Yom Kippur, you certainly make a bracha. Mishabur writes that the Chai Adam says that by bread, if you ate Kidei Svia, even if you were compelled to eat it, you bench because it's still B'achalta B'Savata. Shabur writes that also. That in terms of the I make a bracha that onus is the difference where the onus is not on the eating itself, which is the case where this of sakana, the onus is not on the act of eating, as opposed to here where the onus is on the eating itself, that they're either forcing him to eat it, and that's as opposed to having a compelling reason to eat it. In that case, you can't require him to make a bracha on that because it's against his will. That's a nice lomdish svara. Chaf. Dvash dvorim harei kushar dvash. Bee honey is like any other honey. Ve'enu baruch lev el shakol. So make a shakol klomar v'lo minim kemen shezem iskadesh tamid. Yivarech borei hakol bidvaro. Let's say since it's constantly being renewed and replenished, you make borei hakol bidvaro. And that must be the chiddush. He says in brackets, "Elokim marabusa." Otherwise, what's the chiddush? Mishabura says on this, you don't need a chiddush. Just simon, you should know. Just like gathering halos. Anyway, back to Arukh HaShulchan, he says, "Kriyas b'sifav." That's what he wrote. Sifav Eli Baruch Shahako. Kasser Rabbeinu Rabbi says Sifirav Chavushim. Again, this of Vrodim. B'shamini Perel Sam Shemrachim Midvash. Chavushim is quince. This I know it is. Vrodim is roses, I guess, like edible roses, and other types of fruit and grasses that you confect with sugar, with honey. The fruit and the grasses are primary, vadvash tafel, and the honey is subordinate. I feel like even if the fruit or vegetable is very much pulverized. Begin this, you may have to make the bracha on the quince, and whatever gindis are, ha-eitz. Some shalvarim on the grasses and on the roses. Adama, I can't show. Henagim komine konfaturin shalonu. Oh, that's our custom with all confections. But it's only when the fruit can be recognized. I'm can be osir. But if they're so pulverized, to the point that it becomes like a thick beverage, like a jelly, mevarach shakol, you make a shakol. Okay, a confecturin shalano are confections shemachin osam legamri, when they completely liquefy them. And they squeeze them, and they pass them through a strainer. Sirup. Okay, it's modern Hebrew too. Sirup. Bevargan shaka make a shackle. So too when you preserve fruit with water and sugar and honey, kmo vishnik malinik, which obviously are forms of jelly. Bevargan shaka alamash can make a form. You make a shahako on it. The vradim zel rosen. The flower of the vradim here are roses, and bar birchas and adama, and the brachas adama. Even though they grow on rose bushes, which are actually theoretically trees, they're not the primary fruit. Yesh bohem zera. They have a seed shaped ikar peri, which is the primary part of the fruit. One that's referring to what they call rose hips. V'avradim and the roses themselves, which are the leaves, they're like the secondary parts of the capers. Therefore, the brachas adama. One can't eat these roses neither raw nor cooked, and to go to my dvash only fried with honey. Because nevertheless, the honey is not primary. The primary part is the rose. The honey makes it suitable to eat. They're like vegetables that cannot be eaten raw, but only cooked. Where the bracha is bari priadama. Even the vegetables require some fixing by the cooking. Nevertheless, the bracha still remains bari priadama. Because that's where they're eaten. And so too by the roses, that is the case. And so too anything similar of the sort. Any type of confection which healthy people don't eat, only for healing. Even though we believe, we hold that anyway he eats or drinks something for medical purposes. If his palate derives pleasure, they can't do. That's true. But there's no specific, we don't divide up the medicine into specific brachas based on origin, hadamates, etc. Time the came in the zerak machacham, since it's only food for sick people, and a chol yori the produce of the sick person doesn't get into the details of the taste on its palate. Shein coming off is not really to eat it. Only for the purpose of healing. That's only because the palate tries benefit from it. That's have to make bracha. Because of shakol, she bracha less. That's what makes the generic bracha of shakol. Mishabur writes another reason that even though it derives pleasure, this is not his ikar pleasure. It's not ikar pleasure. It's not a true pleasure, since healthy people are not accustomed to eat this that in this form. Back to Arukh HaShulchan, that healthy people also eat even though you're eating for a cure. That case don't change the version of bracha from the one that healthy people make. Though some people argue this, nevertheless, this is the psak. The Soviet brachas, we are leaning shahako, vada yotze, definitely yotze, which is shahako. So some say that he means the Maresh ain't tovin la'achila. That's talking about where the medicine is not good to eat. Because of shako. That's the bracha shako. Havok shetovin la'achila, but they're good to eat because of the bracha so it's adama. But to me, honey, I'm astounded, said Arukh HaShulchan. You can't have a farish. Listam should have said that, made explicit, not to leave us guessing at it. Furthermore, you can't ain't on bracha klal. Besides that, we have a general principle. It doesn't taste good. There's no bracha at all. The brings it backwards. Machzi shekel nidcha b'zeh farish sheim lo tovim lo roim. They're neither good nor bad. Somewhere in the middle. Ayin Sham ve'en ze el divrei nevius. That's his own prophecy, so to speak, prophetic revelation. Let's say this as well. The primary allows that he wrote the Duke.